Hello. Good evening. I didn't announce that I was streaming or anything, so I'm just going to get going. So I don't know if anybody's tuning in. But I wanted to finish this part of making my costume on stream since I started it. I was going to do this yesterday, but I was just very weary. I'm very tired now also. But we got to forge on. Um, just to kind of bring us back up to speed, we've been working on creating this fella down here in the bottom right, this Dutch listening apparatus. We're making it out of EVA foam, which I've never used before. I'm a cardboard guy, and we're at the stage of making a pattern still, which just took a little while. But here, let me clear the keyboard. We do have it here. I can't really see what this camera's showing. We got this here. It's nice and hollow, which allowed us to shape it, and it's foil. We covered it in foil last time. We made the dome, covered it in foil, and then covered that with duct tape. And the idea is now we'll be able to draw on the duct tape and then kind of peel all of this off, and then use that as our pattern. I was hoping to also cut the foam on stream, but I think that there's just not enough space. My workspace here, I mean, we're looking at it. At this screen is pretty much all we got. So just given this and the size of the roll of the foam and the size of this, when it's like, once it's flayed out, it barely fits in field of view. What do you call that? Frame. I don't know anything about film, or cameras or anything. But yeah. Anyhow, I did want to get on and finish making the pattern, and then I'll cut the foam and shape it. Definitely didn't want to get out the heat gun with this limited space and like the mic here and just stuff around. So kind of put safety on the brain, and we'll do those separately. Oh gosh, I'm getting some really awful feedback of my own voice. Terrifying. I don't know if you all could hear that out there. Probably not, because this is set up. But good lord, scared me. But yeah, we're wanna be thinking about not burning ourselves on live TV as much as that would be fun for you, the viewer, maybe. So if we'll finish the pattern. I'll cut and shape the foam off camera. Probably paint it too. I'm planning on using spray paint, but what we'll do is when we start back up, once I've done this with the pieces and have we'll kind of assemble it once it's been painted and affixed. We'll assemble the larger pieces back on the stream. And then also the other parts, like the actual head apparatus, I think we'll be able to fix up, and some of the other pieces. So not totally bailing on it, but just trying to focus on what can we do in this space. And this has been good for me to figure out what can and can't happen here. Thankfully, I typically work on a much smaller scale, so future craft stream should be a lot more doable. All right. So all that said, oh, I forgot tonight's tunes. If you've been watching these, what I've been doing is I'm listening to music so I don't go crazy. And if you want to listen to the same album, you can. And you can just follow along, or you can listen to something else if you don't like it, which is definitely a possibility. We're listening to La Luz tonight. They're a surf rock band from, I believe, from California, or at least from the West Coast, maybe Seattle, but I think California. And like a lot of surf rock, it comes from over there. And this is one of their earlier albums from 2013, I believe. It's called "It's Alive." It's got some hits, got some groovy tunes on it still, even though it's a little older. But anyhow, thanks for tuning in. Nice to be with you. And I'm gonna start the tunes, and we're gonna start making this thing. Or I mean, just continuing. We're not actually really making the thing yet. And time's ticking. All right, here we go. So that's a nice, fun, exciting thing to dive into. So the stage of this that we're at is we need to draw lines on it that we will then cut. And I'm looking at this. I tried to do some of this. I'm looking at this here specifically and how rough that is. And on other parts, on this side, I tried covering up some of the kind of bumpier spots. And it didn't work too great, but I think since this one's particularly bumpy, I might go over it with another piece of tape first. I said this a lot last time, but the real goal here is just for it to be pretty okay. It's Halloween. It's going to be dark. People are probably going to be a little inebriated. We're not totally worried about accuracy like you might be for a cosplay or something like that. Who's gonna, unless a descendant of this Dutch scientist engineer is, see, and I just made this worse. I don't think it's a good idea. Or maybe with a smaller piece of tape. Unless this the descendants of this Dutch scientist are present at the party, I don't think anybody's gonna be able to call me out on it not being quite accurate. So I'm putting other pieces of tape and then pressing from the inside in hopes of keeping it a little smoother. It's possible it got dented just in the intervening days. I don't have a dedicated workshop. I'm just in my space where other stuff happens too. Okay. All right, so now I think, excuse me, what we, if I recall this YouTube video right, what we're going to try to do is measure out where the halfway points are and then draw our lines that will cut along when it's time to slice this up. And I think my initial hope was that I'd be able to do this just as one long cut across here, or maybe two. But as I look at it more, I think it's more likely that we'll want to do one middle slice. It's kind of point to tip here. Tip to tip here, and then also in the middle. Just because it's so big. Now that's going to make it more complicated for me to glue. And I have a piece of foams, or multiple pieces of foam that are big enough that I could do it in just one, but then the shaping becomes different too. I don't know. I mean, you could also just, another option is that I can try it with one, and then if that's too much, I can cut the pattern in half and do the other one differently, since we are making two of these two ears here. Okay, so let's get to measuring first. We eyeballed this in paint.net and figured out that it's about 2 1/3 guys' heads is the height of these things. So my head is about 8 inches tall, and we made it a quarter instead of a third to make it easier. So let's do some like perimeter math. What? So let's see. Is it 2 pi r for the perimeter of something? Is that right? Let's Google it. theoretically, the base should be a known... well, it's not the perimeter, it's the circumference, right? I'm too tired to be doing math anyhow. Okay, the circumference is the perimeter of a circle or eclipse. Or an eclipse, right? Oh boy. Ellipse. Your ovular things. It is 2 pi r. Man, look at me. So since we're doing a half of one, it's just a dome. That'll just be pi r. R here was 9 inches. So 28.26 is what mathematically our outer edge here is. Let's see how close we got to that. Got just a simple sewing measuring tape. Ooh, we're at like... Oh, I just lost it. Also, we're not caring too much about the mathematics of this because we're not trying to recreate it. We're at 29, so we got a little bit of extra stick, I think, from the foil and the tape. So we'll call that 29. And just for some guidelines, so that'll be 14 and a half. And I've lost my marker. Got it here. Here's the marker. This is also just a little bit too close to me for y'all to be able to see. I'm just drawing a little marker at 14 and a half from the edge here. And then let's see if we do this dome and pick halfway. Now this is different because we're not making a perfect sphere, which would have been easier, but we determined that going 9 inches out from the head would have been a little unwieldy. So we made our dome a little shorter. That's about, we'll call that 24 and a half. So at 12 and a quarter. Ooh, but here in the way we structured this, it's like right at 12 and a half's the middle. You can kind of see 12 and a quarter I think would be a little off. So I think I'm going to do it at 12 and a half up top here. And then just to make drawing this middle line easier. Ooh, and I just gave it a little dent. I'm going to stick these. Stick it like that and just draw some dots for me to connect with. One of the videos I watched, a guy had a very nice curving ruler. Plastics. The things you can do with plastics, like they tell the guy in The Graduate. Got to get into them. Okay, so now I'm going to very, very carefully connect these lines. And we're really close to one of our seams, which I don't like, but... Do I have something that I can curve that would be like that? Probably, right? Probably got something like that. I'm going to go poke around and look for that real quick. Okay, I've come back with this, which isn't much, but it does bend and it is straight. So and I think it's going to be enough to connect between our dots here. Woo! Lost this in one of the holes in my desk. Okay. Make our lives just a little bit easier. Make this a little bit safer. We're being very gentle. Most of the other whoa, we can see. I don't know if this is we've got a little bit of a disconnect there, but we'll fix that when we're cutting it. Most folks, when they're making these, have some pre-existing structure. They're not making them out of cardboard just as a frame. Okay, so we've gone all the way through the center. And again, I don't know that we're going to use that line, but it was a nice, safe one to start with. I think especially compared to cutting across through the middle of this, like we'll want to for actually making the pieces to shape. Now what I'm thinking here, I'm going to flip this around to make it the ball part easier for y'all to see. The shaping of this, I almost feel like cutting down just nah, I made it so you can't see. Oh boy. I think cutting it down the middle and like shaping this whole thing and then gluing these parts together it seems a lot easier to me than cutting along a seam here and shaping like two angles there. And we are shaping two angles, I guess, but it's just there's a lot more pieces that would come together. And I've never shaped foam, so I'm not really sure. My expert costume making buddy suggested that I might just like shape it by hand as I go, which is an interesting prospect. But really, the biggest thing is this. I mean, even if we just did it as one piece, we need to make sure that it lines up with the base here, because the base will just cut. You know, it is a half circle. That's pretty solid. So if the rest of it's a little misshapen or a little weird, I think that's okay. And I think I'd rather reduce risk as a from a shaping point. You know what I'm thinking now? Let's do it like a pie. Let's cut this halfway, or like basketball lines, and just cut it into 4, and that way it's fewer pieces, but we're making roughly the same curve on each one, and it's not as you won't have to totally replicate this whole piece. It's more just like, okay, does it have that bend in the center, and then these can be glued together. I like that. Okay, so that means we're gonna measure halfway again, between, or quarter way on each of these. I have already forgotten what our numbers was. We were at a 29, right? So this should be 14 and a half. We're close to that. And 14 and a half becomes 7 and a quarter. It's honestly closer to 15. How did this happen? Is it moving when I pick it up and put it down? It's very possible. All right. Well, it doesn't. You know what? Maybe if we I don't want to rest it on the other side. I think that would make it worse. I'm going to measure the whole thing again just to see why I'm getting something different. No, that's 29 and a half. Ooh, did I measure the half wrong? Well, we've got straight lines. I think that's the most important part. I think that the tricky risk is that we'll reverse this pattern to make it on the other face. But I think it'll be all right. I think we'll you know, and if it's not, if it lines up close enough, we're okay. We can always fix it up. It's not going to be that tough. And I think if these lines are all coming together, it should still work. Okay, so we're going to mark our line down here. And then halfway here would be... I think it's the mouth that scares me. But as long as the seams come together, right? That's the whole thing about if you cut this apart and reassemble it. As long as the seams come together, it shouldn't be an issue. And we could even glue down... Could you? I don't know, but that'll be something to figure out while it's hot, right? We can shape it if I cut the flat part out first. It's an experiment. We're learning. New thing. Okay, so here's our 12 and a half. Is that what we said earlier? Watch the tape. See if this is being consistent. So that would be 6 1/4. Right about there. Our marker seems to be losing its gusto. Oh, now this isn't going to be... Yeah, wait. If I'm doing pizza slices, I just need to measure from this point to here, right? Not halfway across that. So let's just eyeball some dots and then we'll draw them again. And again, I don't even know if we're going to cut these in... Cut this other piece. I think we'll probably try it 1/2 without and then the other one with. But I want to be ready for it. Yep. Just lost something onto the floor. You know, for something like this where it's kind of up in front of me, a camera from behind would be better, like an over-the-shoulder type view. But we're not any type of highfalutin production. We're just some guy. I'm always amazed with La Luz's harmonies. Very haunting. There were spooky tracks available on their albums, if that's the sort of thing you're seeking this time of year. You know, I think the problem is that this is just there's just some lumps in this. I got some rocks on my desk that I'm knocking onto the ground. Okay, so we're gonna do about 7 1/4 here. Ooh, and we're going right over one of our weird lumps. So I'm going to say... I'm going to call that a good thing. Not have to worry about that part of the pattern since it'll be sliced. Every time when I leave town, they say there's better things to do. They can't stand that I'm with you. Ooh. Definitely not in my range. They're haunting lady voices. Okay, so now we got 4 pieces here. I am gonna label them. We'll call this. We had to decide this for sure. I'm gonna call the open part the front, since that's where the face is. So if that's the front, then then it's like stage, right? No. Where, yeah, the person on the stage is, we're taking that perspective. From the perspective of the wearer, this is outside, left. We'll do L-O. L-I for left inside. R-I for right inside, and R-O for right outside. And then the other thing that this guy did was just label the seams. So you would do A to A, B to B, and C to C. And between those two labels, we should be able to reassemble this pretty okay. Alright, so I am now going to destroy our hard work and remove this foil duct tape thing from the frame that we built. And I say destroy our hard work. I'm hoping I don't mess up too much of it. Right now, you can see that painter's tape. I'm peeling that off from the inside of the dome. Where? Oh, no, it's over here. Here we go. I thought about getting just an arm so that this camera can be more towards the middle, but I couldn't find one that was like the right height to really come down. Stick out the way I thought I would, but whatever. We're making it work, right? We're doing this now. In the way that we can, and we can make improvements as we go. That's my attitude towards crafts. I'm pretty bad at them. There's some people who will tell you that I'm pretty good, and I would disagree. Now I'm a little nervous about this. We know there's like just kind of a tricky edge here with some of this duct tape sticking out in this foil, but I think we're just going to trust that it's going to be mostly right. Now, did I glue a part of this? I can't remember. Oh, we're coming apart. Okay. Okay. Oh, no, it's more tape. We're good. We're good. All right, look at that. Now we can admire our dome. Maybe we can keep this. Maybe we'll turn it into a nice amphitheater for your dolls. I don't have any dolls, but you know. Okay, so here's all this tape. I'm not gonna worry that just the ones on the inside I want to take off. Now I suppose I could have cut this while it was on the dome, and I think that might be what the recommended path was. I'm gonna try to just use some scissors and just cut along this and see how bad that is. If it's real bad, we'll abort, and if it works pretty okay, we'll just keep going with it. So here we go. We're just gonna cut along this line. You know, I'd say it's pretty not bad. You know, another possibility in all this is that we can take this, now that we have an understanding of the shape, and kind of line it up with the poster board that I'm going to put a clearer pattern on, and combine that with some real math, right? Maybe I'll go out and buy a compass. I had to go buy paints. So the next, as I cut this other piece, I'm going to cut along the bottom here. This is the part I'm worried about. Kind of missing that edge correctly. When you paint the foam, you have to heat seal it. Then you have to seal it with either like a Mod Podge or a spray glue thing. I'm probably going to do the spray glue thing. And then I'm going to spray paint. I'm going to make this a nice silver. And then maybe we'll hand paint some of the other pieces, but I've got to have it on my head on Saturday, so time's of the essence for painting. When you spray paint something, it stinks. So I want to make sure that there's plenty of time for it to air out. So I'm probably going to be working on this tomorrow evening when I'm rested, doing the harder parts. All right. Not bad. And we can kind of, we can use the dome as a reference for what that curve should look like while we're shaping it too, which I think will be a big boon before we turn it into an amphitheater for the dolls. Is that something that, what sort of child would want that? Does a child have like an orchestra set of dolls? I loved classical music when I was a kid. I mean, I love it now too, but like I would learn the names of the pieces, and it's a big thing. Now look at that. See, this is why. Look at that rough ass edge. Yikes. That's why we're transferring this over onto something else. Okay, so there's our left inside and left outside. We can kind of see the flop there. But yeah, you know, as much as I loved classical music, I don't think I would have wanted to play with like a you know, a doll of one. Who's the like the violinist who used to dress up like the devil? That is probably the most fun you can have with one of those. They did they're like a Toy Joy and things like that. There's some company made composer action figures, right? I think I remember seeing that. So I wonder if the scissors are why that edge is so rough, that's what the knife would have been better for, but We're just looking to get through this more than anything else. Oh boy. Okay, so here we've hit a pretty thick piece of it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to cut through that with the scissors, so I'm going to get our mat out here, and we'll flatten this out and try to do it with the blade. Bring my light a little differently. I know that's gonna wash me out, but I need to see. Can I turn it around the other way? Is that spooky? Oh wow, look at how clean that is compared to the scissor cut. Well, anyhow. Live and learn, right? Okay. Very nice. So we'll definitely cut the actual the poster board with the blade, and then for the foam, I talked last time about needing to replace my blade. I'm pretty sure that's an old one that has been used for a bunch of random stuff. A couple robots, couple birds. So one part of this now is that we need to flatten these out, right? Because it's still not quite right. Ooh, and that's a little ugly looking. And I think it's ugly looking because we have so much extra foil here on the back. I'm going to see if I can peel off some of this. And I remember doing this and just kind of pressing it down. So I just pulled up all this this excess foam here. Foam, foil. Foam later. It's like caveman speech. Foil now, foam later. Junga hungry. I was watching a Twitter account I follow has been talking about Adult Swim stuff. I think the fear that Warner's going to take, or whatever, Warner Discovery hyper-conglomerate B, right? The non-Disney hyper-conglomerate is going to start taking that stuff down. Should be a bummer. Alright, we're now looking for... I'm going to pick one of the rocks up off of the ground. I had a real nice 6-inch ruler, which I would have been great for smoothing stuff out. Oh, here we go. Here's a a pencil lead piece. We're gonna use that. I think our album just ended. Let's pick something else. We'll pick something quick because I don't think we're gonna be working for too much longer. Do we have a nice EP? Who's got a good EP? Kamasi Washington's got a good EP. I like that one a lot. Harmony of Difference. You like that one? The one on the physical, the wax version of it, the one side's got the first 5 tracks, and then the other one's got just the one nice long track on it. Then the last track's a real buildup of the other ones, a real amalgamation. So I'm a big fan of it. Here we go. All right, so we're gonna use our pencil lead thing and try. This isn't great. Try to flatten this out. I kind of got it, but you can see some of these, like, oh boy, it's tight. It doesn't want to come apart like that, but it has no choice. Look at how rough that is. Look at how wrinkly. Oh boy. Would it be easier to do from this side? I don't. This is definitely not the right tool for the job. The guy had a tongue depressor. Who just has that? I guess you're making crafts. That seems pretty flat though. You know, compared to before. We'll take it. We've never done this. We don't have a fancy workshop and know what we need. And that's okay. You know, that's a good way to make art. No bad way to do it. And you know, practice makes purple. Who knows? This time, 2 years from now, we'll be making whoever from Overwatch 2. Who do people like? The monkey, right? I like the guy with the turret. I played engineer in TF2. And healer. I guess I play a lot of support, too. A lot. I say a lot. Definitely don't play much Overwatch. I'm pretty bad. Have gotten into, you know, bar raised voices. Nothing aggressive, you know. But just somebody who cared a lot more than me did not like that I said that there should be a place for casual players. In every game. You know, because otherwise, if you have to decide to go pro in order to start playing a game, or to start doing anything, you know, it's a real gatekeeper's activity then. Kind of felt like skiing is that way. High investment point. They don't have ski libraries for people. Take a ski, leave a ski. Backpacking, unfortunately, too. That's a hobby that I like a lot, but good gear is expensive, and it's easier to do when you've got good lightweight gear. But thankfully, that's one where you can go and you can microdose it. You can't really micro. You can go on a little hike without camping, or you can go on a shorter one, and you know, then you can decide, hey, I'm really into this. I'm gonna save up and buy nice gear. Hey, that's what I did. I guess so. Through hiking is something you have to invest in, but maybe just backpacking, you can work your way there. If you don't like hiking, you're probably not gonna like staying overnight. And look at how wrinkly this is. Just awful. The pros would be like, man, what is this, your first time? With your pencil lead? Yeah, there's no way to go skiing just briefly, right? You gotta go all the way up there. You gotta get the stuff, and here, being from Texas, there's just no... Like, there's no snow anyways. I don't even have the winter attire for that. Right, I wouldn't necessarily. I've lived in cold places, so I do. But I don't get it out while I'm at home. This one's a bit rougher. A bit harder to get that full flat. It's got kind of a pretty strict bend here, and we can see that crease. I'm not sure there's much we can do about it, but I think it's the edges here. I think if we pin it down, or I pin it down when I'm cutting the foam, I think I'll be able to do that. Okay, last one. Low, for it is our last pattern. You know, it's been a while since I've done a really, a truly ambitious costume like this. Even the last kind of larger one that I did, it was ambitious in that it had a way for me to keep a can on top of my head, when a straw attached to it to drink from. It was during COVID, so it was masks were required always. So I had a little straw coming in, and it had a big cone head. So I tried to make that work. But even that, I don't think was that crazy. Just like making a little cardboard frame for the beer can to sit in. Not too bad. I think I made a kind of all full head encompassing type mask. That was really challenging. Even my Zardoz costume was, just having not done anything with fabrics before, was a little rough, a little challenging. And my fear in tearing these edges is that we'll have negative space for it. So I might add like a millimeter or something to it. I guess I should have trimmed that up with a knife, huh? Well, anyways. But I think that's it. I'm going to hate to cut Kamasi Washington short here, but this is about how long I thought I'd be on. So, good on me, art estimator. Not something I'm good at normally. We've got our pieces here. Let's see if I can line them up right. So this is what we were trying to do. Was imagine what shape we would make for this, and we tried to cut that out. Now I don't know if I can find it. Our weird little oblong football to see how far off we were. But I think we were a little off. Definitely the way that these curves are inverse. I wasn't thinking that way, right? We get the little star pattern. That's a good thing to remember, because the way it bulges out here, they need to come in, come back into each other. So I wasn't in that headspace for drawing those shapes and creating that. But yeah, or even this way, where you just you have the space for them to come back together. So I think this will work, and yeah, just laying out what's happening between now and next time I'm coming here crafting, cutting out paper patterns, cutting the foam, shaping the foam, and then just heat gunning the whole thing. And then affixing them together. Now, one thing I'm not going to do it on here, but ooh, look at that. That bee is rubbing off. No, we're not we're not running that risk. I'm putting it again. Oh, can you imagine? So that's another good reason to switch over to paper. Registration marks, I always when I have a buddy named Marcus who's going to sign people up, he's my registration mark. Or if you're an assassin and this is how you start something when it's time to you're trying to break into the assassin game, and they give you, this is who you got to kill to get in. That's your registration mark. Also, your registration mark when you're signing up for classes in college. It's where you go and you make your little registration mark. Okay, that's what we're doing for this one. No college class sign up, but we'll mark here lines along it, so that we know when it shapes and bends to come back together, that's where they bind. So I didn't mark those on here. Gosh, I hope we weren't supposed to mark them while they were together. If they were, I'll figure it out. I'll go watch the video again. So we'll do that. Yeah. Cut the foam, heat it, prime it, spray it with the sealant type stuff, and then spray it with paint, and then we'll come back and affix it. I'll have gathered the other pieces. We'll do our hand painting and put it all together, and then I'll walk around like this guy. But anyhow, thanks for tuning in. Probably play some video games next week. I don't think there's going to be time this week. Too much crafting happening. Too tight schedule. But hope you have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday evening and a good rest of your week. Probably see you, I guess Friday, I imagine, would be the day that has to happen. But anyhow, or maybe tomorrow night. That's a lot to get done, but we'll see. Maybe I can do some of the other pieces in between there. But anyhow, take care. Go peacefully, and thanks for joining. Goodbye. Oh, let's go. Let's do the thing. Oh, wait. I meant it fade to black. Okay, here, we're switching back.